There we go.
Hey,
Hi.
let's see.
Cool.
I'm not sitting where I usually sit, and my glasses, the glasses I usually use are not here.
Oh no.
Okay, let's see. Mint. Okay.
Oh, I was last. What we're gonna do is we're gonna start with some emotions, our signs there. I'm gonna try to limit. I have a list, but I'm gonna try to limit as much only so that way I give you guys that open opportunity to ask any specific signs. Excuse me, you would like to see, any questions you guys have, anything like that. Since this is our last class, I kind of want to leave it to where you guys get what you really want to know most. Um, and then if, let's see, I'm trying to think. If you do, and if we end up finishing like everything kind of early and you're like, hey, let's go back and add more to the emotions, totally fine as well. So that way we can be flexible and kind of go with the flow. So the first sign we're going to do is the sign for feeling. Okay. So the sign for feeling, there we go, is going to be your middle finger and you're going to brush up on the center of your chest. Feeling. Okay. Feeling. Now, this typically is like how you feel, that sort of deal, like your emotions. Again, not necessarily how that feels. That sometimes we can be like, that feels weird. Or touch weird kind of deal when you're talking about like like texture, things like that. This one I always see more often with feelings, actually talking about emotions versus like that weird touching or the kind of it's almost descriptive when you're talking about an actual like feel something is weird. Okay. So the first sign we're going to do is the sign for happy. So the sign for happy is happy. Happy. And you're just patting up. You kind of going in a sort of circular motion where you pat your shoulders and go up. Happy. Happy. Then the next I have is I did add, Miss Katie added on this list, okay? I have to give her credit. She writes this list for me and it helps me out every time. I'm like, "No, I did not, she did." Happy birthday, okay? So a nice little one, you can have a little phrase. So for happy birthday, you're just going to do sign for happy and then the sign for birthday. The sign for birthday is going to be, if you remember, I believe when we did favorite last week, I believe we did. And favorite is your middle finger and it taps your chin. Okay. So birthday is going to be chin, chest. Birthday, birthday. And then favorite is just the one time. Okay. So happy birthday would be happy birthday. Okay. Happy birthday. All right. The next one we have is then the sign for sad. And so the sign for sad is you're going to have your two fives. They're kind of up here and you go sad. Sad, sad. And you do have it kind of in your face. It's almost like showing your face as being downcast. So I'm going to pause here real quick and kind of explain the importance of facial expressions when it comes into talking about these sort of things. Because I know I've mentioned this before and talked about how facial expressions are very important, especially with ASL. They can really help or hurt your conversation or what sentence you're trying to say. When you are talking about emotions and feelings, it is important to really try to show as much facial expression as you can to help convey what you are trying to say. Um, and so, because, like, for example, if you were to say, I'm feeling very sad today, feeling very sad today, that smile, it's going to throw them. They may think you're being sarcastic, or they may think you're not being real serious about it. And so, it is important to kind of just be aware. You don't have to be over the top like I am. I can be very over the top, but being kind of aware, like, okay, well, I'm talking about how I don't feel real happy. So, I'm not going to just like keep it flat. I feel sad today. I'm going to be more like, I'm a bit sad today, that sort of thing. It is very important. It helps a lot. So with that, our next sign we're going to do is the sign for mad. There are so many different ways you can sign the word mad, and I'm going to just show you a few of them because Honestly, I hate to say it, but they're really fun. Okay. Like they're not fun because you're mad, but they are really fun to sign. Okay. So the first one we're going to do is you're going to have a five slightly bent and you go mad, mad, mad. Ooh. And you have those like angry eyebrows, like, ooh, you made me mad, mad. Okay. The next one is basically it's the phrase for fed up. I am fed up. I am done. Okay. And what you do is you have basically two bent hands and you go, I'm fed up. Really, it's one hand more nowadays, but like I'm fed up, fed up. I'm fed up. Now, I will say with warning on that one, be careful and don't actually hurt yourself because when you do that, you can hurt yourself. I did do that one time. Like what was it? I was saying I'm so fed up, and I bit my tongue because my tongue was right between my teeth, and I hit my chin just enough to just go, oop, and I was like, and I remember, and I mean, it stops you from getting mad because you're like, ow, my tongue. But I was like, I'm so fed up, and I bit your tongue. So sometimes you can hurt yourself when signing. Even like when you're not really even mad, you're just like really excited or you're really enthusiastic, your signs can hurt you. So I always like to say just be a little careful. That's one that I always think about a lot is fed up. Um, the next one we're gonna do is blow up. Okay, like I'm blowing up, like I'm about to explode, that sort of thing. Okay. And it's very similar to soda, if you remember soda. Okay. So what it is it's gonna do the same motion, but now you're gonna wiggle your fingers up and you slam it down. Oh, and I think with this one, you have your soda, you've shooken up your soda can, you open it, and it just lets it out. It explodes everywhere because you have made it just, you've shaken it up. You put so much pressure on it. So that's the visual with like, I'm exploding, I'm blowing up. Like I'm so mad. Okay. So let's go back to, we had the sign feeling. So feeling, feeling. And then we had happy, happy. We had happy birthday. Then we had sad, sad, sad. Then we had mad, 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 mad. We also had fed up, fed up, fed up. So sorry, I just got a random text. um, fed up, and then we had blow up, explode. That's Oh, okay. Sorry. I was like reading. I was like, how to catch it? Um, Typically what I would do is for feelings hurt, like hurting your feelings, that my feelings are hurt, you would go feelings like my feelings hurt. If you remember the sign for hurt, which we did we do the sign for hurt actually? I don't think so. I might be blending classes. Okay, let me explain hurt real quick. This is very off topic, but I do think this one's important and it helps with emergencies. Perfect. Okay. So the sign for hurt is hurt. It's literally your pointer fingers and you just go bouncing like hurt. Ooh. With this sign hurt, it is a descriptive sign or a directional sign, meaning where you locate it helps identify the pain. So when you're talking about like a headache up here, my head hurts, headache, that sort of deal. If you're talking about your stomach hurts, you point to your stomach and you bring it down here. It's hard to see, obviously, but you're hurting down here. You hurt. If your arm hurts, it's my arm, it hurts. Like you bring it to where your ear hurts, your jaw, yeah. So you move that hurt to help with it. And so that one's always just helpful for like emergencies because if you're ever like hurt, like someone's saying, like someone gets hurt, or you see like a bad wreck or something and you find out the person is deaf, like how to ask for hurt. You could just go hurt where? Hurt, hurt, hurt. And they can be like hurt or hurt, that sort of thing. So I just like to add that real quick. Um, what we were saying, hurt, feelings hurt. So feelings hurt, hurt. It's like feeling hurt. Um, Sometimes I know when I'm trying to be a little more shown, like my feelings are crushed, is I will do this one. I actually don't know. We've not done this time before, Miss Katie. That's what I'm having to think of how the word is for it. This is for being like really like I am crushed, I am disappointed. Um, there's not really a good English word, I don't think, that
We've
translated.
never had to express such a crushing level of disappointment in anyone.
Yes, we haven't. And it's like it's like you're almost thinking about when you have a rag and you're rinsing it out. It's that motion and it's here. And it's like your feelings, like your heart is here and you have just ripped it. Like I'm crushed. Um, that can go for being like severely disappointed. I can't think of an English word for that. I guess crushed is the best one for it. I'm crushed. I'm distraught. Um, that sort of thing. But that can go with like if you're really like talking about like not saying, oh, you hurt my feelings, but like you really crushed me. You really got like intense, that sort of thing. So, but yeah, I'm sorry. I was like, I thought about, I was like, we've not done that one before. And I was like, you're not a bad one to see. It's always fun to do throw a few different ones in. Okay. So our next one we're going to do is the sign for scared. All right. So the sign for scared is also the sign for scary. Just you can have slight variation or it's the exact same. So the sign for scared is you're going to have it's two S's, two A's. Either way, you don't really see it. Okay. I have S's. You're going to start here and you go scared, scared, scared. If you think about it, it is like when you are actually terrified, like, ooh, scared, and you shoulders pinch and you throw your hands in front of your face kind of deal. Scared. Okay. Then the next one we have is tired. All right. Oh, sorry, scary. The other one I was going to say with variation with scary is it's like scary when you just, it's that motion, but you bounce it back. Scary. But you can still say scary. Like that's scary. They both work. I've just seen kind of difference with those. The next one is tired, tired, tired. Tired. You can do one hand with this, tired. But I would kind of a little bit of caution because this one also is the same sign for fault. 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 So be careful when you're in the context. If it's almost like if someone's asking like, how are you feeling? Like, you okay? You feel like you feel okay? And you're like, tired. That's fine. They're gonna be able to catch it. But if it's a general, just like that, they may think, are you talking about it's your fault? Like, what'd you do wrong? That sort of thing. So be mindful of context clues again. Okay. The next one we have is bored. Okay. Bored. So for bored, you're going to have your pointer finger. You bring it on the side of your nose and you go bored, 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 bored. Bored. Okay. That is also boring. Like, it's boring. I like to add that one because I do think for those of you who want to be a little sassy and you don't want people to know, you can be like, it's boring. It's really fun to do. Okay. I'm trying to like pick and choose which emotion signs to do. And I'm like, I have to add boring because I don't know. I think that was funny. Because I just think about you picking your nose. You know, I always visualize when those young kids that are bored out of their mind and they just sit there and they're just going to town. I'm like, that's obviously where you had to have thought of that. It connects well. Is bored, is you're so bored you pick your nose. So I do think that one's funny a lot of the time. Okay. And the next one is calm. So for calm, there's a few variations. Obviously, it's kind of more with the English words. I'm going to just show you a few different ones. Mainly, I have to think of chill, chill. It's all those same concepts of calm. So really calm is calm. You have two hands together and you go calm, calm. Okay. But if you're trying to get a kid to chill, like calm down, breathe, you want to go calm down, calm down. You want to do that. What you would do is you would be like, breathe, like you'd show the motion of that, or chill. And chill is almost like, think about meditate. You know, when they have like the little eights and they're like, that sort of thing is chill. Ooh, breathe, ooh, calm. That one just helps because I can always see people being like, this is calm, quiet, that sort of deal, versus this is like calming down. Like, let's calm down, let's breathe, let's chill out. Another one for chill in that sense is two C's and you go chill, chill, like they cross each other, chill. This one's kind of a newer one. This one, I know it's kind of more of a newer form. ASL always changes, just like how English, we have all these new words. We get not these new words, but these new phrases, these new concepts, that sort of thing. ASL goes through the exact same process. And so chill is one of those that I remember the first time I saw it and I thought, wow, I don't know these signs. And I asked one of my coworkers who was deaf. She is an older teacher. And I said, what's this? And she's like, what? What is it? Like an old sign for car? I said, I don't know. So then the context, we had to ask the kid because they just randomly did this, and we're like, and it was because no, it's chill, chill. And she's like, yeah, a lot of people do this nowadays. It's chill, chill. So I love seeing when like things update like that as well. Okay. Let's see. The next one we're going to do is the sign for confused. Okay. So the sign for confused is you're going to have two fives slightly bent. You're going to have your non-dominant kind of in front and your dominant like this. And you're going to make circular motions. And it's going kind of above your head. Confused. Me, confused. Okay. Confused. Okay. The next one we have is the sign for smart. All right. So the sign for smart is smart. It's your middle finger. You have it on the side of your head and smart, 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 smart. Smart. Okay. Let's go back because I know we did a few bit right there. We had our scared, scared, scared. We had our tired, tired, tired. We had our bored, 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 bored. We had our calm, calm, quiet, and then our calm down, chill, breathe. Ooh. Then we had our other chill, chill, chill. Then we had our, oh, there we go. Then we had our confused, confused. Okay. All right. So I'm going to just do a few more and then I'm going to give it to you guys to kind of pick other emotions you're thinking of. And then we'll go to some other topics because I want to make sure to give you guys that chance. The next one we're going to do is the sign for cool, as in that's cool. Because I do think this one's a more popular one. It's very similar to that chill again. So you may see that you probably will see this one more often. So cool is it's almost like you have a tiny little, like you're pinching. Okay. You go at the corner of your mouth and you go cool, cool, cool. Cool. I do like this one. I've seen it. Oh, I see it all the time. I use this one all the time. Cool. That's cool. That cool. So if you sign that, someone's probably gonna be like, you know some sign because you know cool. So that one can be a little bit of a bragging one. All right. The next one is mean, not mean, rude. Sorry, we can do mean. We will do mean. I want to do rude first. So for rude, there are two ways to do it. One of them can be easy to get confused with another sign. So I'm going to show you the first one that's more common I see, and then I'll show you that next one. Okay. So the first one for rude is you have a Y. Your thumb goes across to the corner of your mouth and you slide across. Rude. Rude. That's rude. Rude. And the other one is you have your non-dominant palm up, your middle finger, and you slide it across. Rude, rude, rude. Now, this one I would be careful with a bit because if you do it on the back of your hand and just are a slight accident, it's naked. So you're not trying to say you're naked, you're trying to say someone's rude. So I don't do this one at all. I always do rude. Even when I have other people go, what? I'm like, rude. And they'll be like, I do rude. I say, well, I do rude. And then it's like a whole like, okay. So that one, because I don't know, I have like such a fear I'm going to be like naked. And I'm like, I can see him going, what? No, what are you talking about? Throws your whole conversation. So that's our two different ways of rude. The next one we were going to do is are going to do is mean. So for mean, I'm going to show you at first because it is hard to describe. It's mean, mean. So it's like you have two open hands above, and then as you slide them down, you close fists. Mean, mean, mean. Okay, mean. All right. The next one we have is nice. So for nice, you're going to have your non-dominant palm up. You have your dominant and you're going to slide it across. If you remember that from when I think we did nice to meet you. Did we do that actually? Now I'm thinking about it. Nice to it's I'll show it. I can tell on y'all's face you're like, I don't know what you're talking about. All right, that's okay. That's totally fine. So nice to meet you is you do nice, okay? And then to meet is literally you have two pointer fingers and you bring them together, okay? And the reason I'm doing it this way, because this one's me, this one's you, meet, okay? And then you go you. Nice to meet you. So typically, you do have it more center, like nice to meet you. You can't see me when I sign it that well. But whenever you're talking about meet, meeting you, meeting a person, two people meeting, you do keep those directional. So like if you're saying these two need to meet, these two meet, or these me and them met, that sort of thing. That's how you would just show the description of who you're talking about without having to be like you meet. It's like no, you just meet. Okay. All right, so we had nice to meet you. I did want to review that one more time since that's a phrase. Okay. All right. I do want to show this one because this one I do think is important to know, because it is one of those people-ish ones that can be confusing. So, um, when we talk about different phrases and adding peoples to them, if you remember when we did our like teach, teacher, that sort of thing, one thing that does not translate to ASL as much as I've seen is the sign for stranger. Okay. So you would think strange person. Technically, no, or like the sign meaning is you would sign strange and then you sign person to be stranger. With that, you actually don't sign it that way, mainly because when you're talking about a stranger, you're talking about someone you don't know. Doesn't mean that they're odd and creepy looking or things like that. Not every time. You're talking about she's a stranger. I don't know her. And so the sign is very literal. When you're saying something strange, which it's a big C, and you bring it in front of your face, strange, strange, odd, strange. Um, so when you're saying stranger, you're saying like odd person. That's an odd person sort of deal. So a stranger, when you're talking about someone you don't know, is typically is like, I don't know. You just say like that person, I don't know that person. Instead of saying stranger, you would say that person, I don't know, if that makes sense. Okay. Because I do think that one's important to know because that does not translate, tran, I guess translate, over, transition well. Okay. So
Jillian, will you do I don't know one more time, please?
we've not done, I don't know. And I've just naturally just did it like that. Okay. It's literally, okay, so this is a sign for no, like I know something. Okay. No, you tap on the side of your head. It's like pretend like it's in your brain. It's in my brain. I got it. I know this. All right. If you don't know something, you go because it's not in your brain. And you're like, it's not away from, it's not with me. Okay. It's out here. I don't know this. I don't know. Okay. So don't know. Don't know. That is a good one to do. And I can't believe, see, sometimes I'll just go naturally, keep going, and I'm like, wait a minute, I signed, don't know, and we don't know that one. So yeah, don't know, don't know. And you can always shake your head. Some people even go "Pff," like shake their head and tap their head like, "Pff, I don't know this." I've done that a few times as well. Just kind of like to add a different kind of attitude to the comments in the sentence kind of deal. Okay, let's go back. We had our mean, mean. Okay. We had our rude, rude, or rude. All right. We had our cool. I think we forgot that one. Cool, cool, cool. Then we had smart, smart, smart. I went out of order. That's why I'm looking at it. I'm trying to go back in my order. Then we had nice, nice, nice. And then we had nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. All right. And then we had strange or odd. Strange, strange, strange. Okay. I did want to add one more thing with the nice. This also is clean. So clean is here, but what you do is you basically repeat it. Like we got to clean up, clean up. You're just motioning that same again. And it's almost like you have the sponge or the rag and you're just constantly cleaning that sort of visual of that. So clean. Um, and sometimes people, even when they're describing how clean and nice something looks, like they'll go, "Ooh, it's clean. Like that house is clean." That typically is how that will also be described. Because I guess in the sense it does make sense. Well, that house is nice. That house is clean. Like you don't always call a house that's nice. Like you wouldn't call a house that's not clean nice. If that makes sense most of the time. If you were, I don't know how you describe that. You have fun on your own on that because I would be like, it's dirty. It's not clean. It's not nice. So, okay. So what we'll do now is I'm gonna leave it for you guys if there's any other emotion signs that you guys are words that you're curious of. And then after a bit, we will then move on to different topics that you guys are curious of. Oh, that is a good one. Okay. So the sign for excited is you're going to have your two middle fingers, all right? And you're going to alternate shoulders while you flick up. Excited, excited, excited. And so you kind of have that like, you bring up your shoulders, you kind of move your head a little bit like, ooh, this is exciting sort of deal. Excited. Okay. So that one also, you can show more excitement by it by being faster. So when you're really excited, like, "Ooh," it's like lightning. You're like, whoa, you are way too fast. So that is another way you can kind of add to that um, emotion, dramatic, that sort of thing. Okay, so the sign for embarrassed. For embarrassed, you're going to have two fives. And what you're going to do is you're going to not actually really touch, but get close. You're going to brush your cheek basically up on your cheeks. Embarrassed, embarrassing, embarrassed. And so for this one, the visual with this one is that when you get embarrassed or someone gets embarrassed, most of the time they get really red in the face. And so it's the color coming up their face. Like I'm embarrassed, the color is coming and taking over. I am embarrassed. Okay. See, where's the list? There we go. So, yes, that one. Any others you guys can think of? I still have a lot more. So if you'd rather just go through like the list of and I just add some more, I'm more than happy to do that. I just want to see if there's any specific ones that may not be on this list or anything like that. Okay. What we'll do is you can keep, if you do think of anything, just add. We'll do a few more emotion signs and then we'll move on to other whatever topics you need. Okay. So another one another one we're going to do is the sign for funny. Okay. So the sign for funny is you're going to have three, the sign for three. You put your two fingers together and you brush your nose. Funny, 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 funny. Okay. Funny. Now, this one is not going to be the same as the sign for fun. All right. Fun is going to be, I always have to double check myself because I'll do it so naturally and I'm like, wait, which is it again? Your non-dominant is going to be two fingers facing down. Your dominant is also that two fingers. You're going to put it on your nose and then tap. Fun, 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 fun. Okay. Then we have silly. So the sign for silly, there are two ways you can do it. One is it has both hands, the other one is just one-handed. All right. So the both hands is it's two Y's. You're gonna bring in front of your nose, and then you're gonna bring the other one at the end of your pinky. Okay. And you're gonna go silly, silly. You zig zag. Silly, silly. Okay. Silly. The other way you do it is with one hand and you go silly, silly. So obviously this one's much easier. I like to say this one for more like, wow, you're like over the top being silly. Like, whoo, you're silly. Like chill out, like calm down. Versus like, haha, silly, you're funny. That sort of deal. Like I use this almost as my, you're way too much. We're up here. We need to be down here. That's my like, we're coming back down sort of deal. I think it's because it requires so much movement because it's two arms. It's intense. It's intense, that's for sure. Okay. Oh, another one. I know this one's not really an emotion, but it is important, is the sign for sick. And so the sign for sick is you're gonna have two eights. That light is really gonna just drive me crazy. Every time I move my hand, it like goes right into that light. I'm trying to like, well, sorry, dogs. Okay, we'll see that. No, that didn't much difference. Anyways, so sick is gonna be two middle fingers. You're gonna put one on top of your forehead and one top on your stomach. Sick. And you typically tap it. Okay, sick, sick. Now. This is another one where you can add a little bit of a slight change to it. I mean, very slight, to add the intensity. So when you are sick, you can go instead of tapping, you just go one time and you kind of puff out your cheeks like, oh, I was sick. I was not okay. So that typically can really show like that you were down. You were down. You were in bed. You weren't leaving. That sort of deal. So I don't know about you guys, but I always love how you can just add a slight intensity. It's like tones, when you say, "Oh, I was sick yesterday" versus, "Oh, I was sick. I was sick." That sort of thing. It just comes in and has a slight variation, and I don't know. I think it's fascinating, but I'm also very nerdy about it. I'm very biased on ASL. Okay, obviously, I've been signing for 10 years. All right. The next one we're going to do is the sign for curious. Okay. So the sign for curious is you're going to have a nine kind of shape. You're going to bring this to the corner like of your neck. Okay. Not corner. What in the world? The center. I was trying to say, what was I trying to think of? The center of your neck. Okay. And you're going to go in a circular motion. Curious, curious. And I typically add my chin. I'd kind of jet out like, what you doing? Kind of deal where I'm being nosy, where I tilt it like, hmm, curious, curious. Okay. The next one we're gonna do, since I just said it, is nosy, because nosy is a fun one. The sign for nosy is literally you just tap your nose. Nosy. You, nosy, nosy, nosy. That one is a very fun one. My kiddos are the most nosiest kids ever. Like, I'm not even joking you. Deaf kids are extreme. I mean, everyone's nosy, of course. I don't know what level it is, but deaf children just go to every level of being nosy. If you look at another teacher, like for something, like ask them a question, immediately their heads are watching the conversation. And you're like, hi. And my favorite thing is like, I know in the corner of my eye, they're watching me. And I'll just look over and then, oh, hi. And I'm like, yeah, you watching our conversation? What's up? And they're like, no, no. They go back to work, but and then some of them don't even care anymore. They're like, yeah, I'm watching your conversation. What's going on? Because they'll be like, free eyes. And I'm like, don't worry, I know. Most of the time, it's always just like, what's the plan for eighth period for clubs? What are we gonna do for this or that? Like, not even big deal stuff, but our kids are immediately like, what's going on? I want to know. And I'm like, y'all are nosy. And it's always a fun one with that one, just be like, nosy. I think I signed this one probably more than anything else during the day because they are always in someone's business. Even if like my phone buzzes, they'll be like, who texted you? And I'm like, nosy, it's an email. It's not even a big deal. But they're like, what's going on? Like, back off. All right. Let's see. What's another one we can do? Another one. Next one is not embarrassed, frustrated. Okay, so frustrated means you're gonna have two B's. All right. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna take one and you're gonna bump into your face. Not hard, do not hurt yourself, but you're gonna keep bumping in your face. Frustrated, frustrated, frustrated. And so obviously for this one, if you think about it, you're bumping into a constant barrier. You're trying to move on, oh, there's a problem. Oh, there's a problem. Oh, there's a problem. And it just doesn't stop. So feeling frustrated is like, just keeps hitting a barrier. All right. I have three more on my little list, and then we will move on to different topics that you guys are curious of. So the next one I have is the sign for loyal. So the sign for loyal is you're going to have an L. And you're going to kind of stick it out like this and have a flare as you come in. Loyal, loyal. And it is important you do that little flare. You don't have to be too big and dramatic, but just a little, enough to do that. Because while this is loyal, lazy is lazy with one tap. So if it helps to think loyal, you are putting in the extra step, you're going the extra mile, you are adding that flair because you are loyal to this. You are going to be a good person with it and keep on with it. And then lazy is you're doing the bare minimum. You are just tapping. That's all you got going. So lazy. All right. Okay. And then my last one is help. Okay. So I know we've done help, but I don't know if we've gone over how directionally help can be. The sign for help.
I think we talked about it briefly,
Mm-hmm.
but it's been several weeks.
That's what I thought. So I'm gonna go over it again. Excuse me. Um, just as a nice little refresher with help, because again, that is such a key, important one. Um, so the sign for help, if you remember, is help. Help. Okay, help. And if you remember when we talked about it, help is one of those another directional sign. So kind of like the meet. Um, where help is you start with whoever's going to be the helping person. So if it's us helping you, like I'm helping this person, I would start here at me and I would bring it towards them. Help you, help you. I'll help you. You need help. Again, eyebrows will make that difference on if you are telling them, I'll help you. I'll help you versus you need help. Need help, that sort of deal. Okay. And just like if you need someone to help you, you have it away and you bring it towards you. Help me, help me, help me. Okay. Um, and you can also, if you're talking to a group, you can go like help, help, where you kind of tap and then bring in a circle. Like we all are going to help each other. I'll help all of you. Um, all of you. I typically would start here, bring it, all of you. I'm thinking as like my mindset of like when I'm with my kids and I have a bunch of them and they're all like, I don't do this anymore. I'm like, I'm gonna help all of you, just wait. Um, and that's our deal because they're not patient. I mean, no kid is patient, really. Let's be real here. Okay, all of them are with that. So, okay, I think that's it I have for now on my emotion signs in my list. Are there any topics you guys are curious of or want to review on, look back at, or have more signs you're just curious of in general? And it can even be if you have any deaf culture questions. I see typing, that's why I'm waiting. Okay, two good questions. All right. I am gonna do Lacey's question first, just because it's shorter, and then we'll come back to yours. So the best way to learn outside of class is honestly interacting with deaf people. That is the best way. So if you just ever really meet someone, really getting to be that if you do know any deaf people being supportive, that sort of thing. Most of the time, most deaf people are very appreciative when they see people are trying to learn sign and try to practice it and work with it. Um, sometimes they may be like, okay, great, yeah. And that's just because, they may be out doing things and sort of deal where not everyone's going to be always like, oh my gosh, let's talk all day sort of deal. But that is always like the best way. The best way is to really get into it and learn ASL and truly become more natural with it is through talking to deaf people. And really conversing with deaf people. So, but you can always sort of it helps to talk to sign with people who either know it or are learning it too. Because the more you practice just conversation, the more comfortable you come with it and the more like it comes smoother. I know that it is definitely ASL is definitely one of those classes, those languages that if you don't use it, you lose it kind of deal. So it is always helpful to just kind of, practice in kind of in your mind, think about the sign or think about how you would say this and that sort of deal. I know I'm very lucky and I'm very lucky because I work at a desk school, so I'm constantly signing all day. But even like during like summer breaks, when I'm like not around anybody who is deaf and I'm staying home or doing whatever, even when I come back, sometimes it takes me a minute to have to kind of shift gears back into it. Nowadays, not too much because I work summer camps, but most of the time it does have a like it takes some time for sure. Okay. So more of the basic questions. So you want to go back over like the WH question words again and like we can basically make up a couple different phrases with the questions sort of deal. Okay. Okay. So we had our who, what, when, where, why, and how. All right. Let's do kind of some questions about where things are. Okay. I think that's always a good one. So if someone's asking for, like, if you're trying to ask someone, where's the bathroom? Where's the water fountain? That sort of thing. You would do for bathroom, you would go bathroom with that T, which, did we do bathroom? Oh my gosh, I didn't tell y'all my funny story with bathroom. Okay. Oh, I promise it's not like an actual bathroom story. It's just the sign of it. Okay. So the reason I said this because I realized I don't know if we've ever talked about this one. All right. There are two ways you can sign bathroom. One is the sign that's like bathroom, and then there's another one that is the sign for more like restroom. Okay. So the sign for bathroom is it's a T and you shake it back and forth. Bathroom. Okay. The other one, restroom, is you have an R and you go rest room, rest room, rest room. Rest room. I had a college professor who did not like the sign toilet, bathroom. This one. Bathroom. And the reason is because it's very blunt. This is talking about the T for toilet. So it's not like actually a sign for bathroom. It's more of you're shaking toilet. Toilet, I need the toilet. And she thought that was just so not proper. She was like, it needs to be restroom. It needs, this is nicer. This is more polite. And I remember being like, yeah, but I need the toilet. That's fine. I'm not one of those people. I'm very much like, I don't care. Like, yeah, I'm only saying toilet. So I always giggle about that one because toilet and restroom, same thing, but one of them is more proper versus the bathroom. But this one is way more commonly used, even with adults and being professional, it's still the bathroom. Okay. So if you're going to ask someone where the bathroom is, you would go bathroom where? Where? Bathroom where? Okay. Water, where's the water fountain? You would just do water where? Water, that W. So pointer finger taps water where? Water where? Okay. Let's do what is your name again? So you would do your name. What? What is your name? So it does go kind of smoother where you go, your name, what? Your name, what? Okay. Let's see. Gotta think of some more. Let's see. You work. Where do you work? Okay. What you would do is you would go, you work. If you remember work. Where? You work where? If you wanted to ask what do you do for a job, like what do you do? You would go your work, like you would do your work. What do what do? If you I think we did what do. Sometimes I feel like I forget certain signs because I'm like, okay, which class did we do that in? Because there's a few that I'll add in here and there, and I think, oh, I didn't show you, or yes, I did. But yeah, so if you're asking someone what they do for a living, like what's your job, you would pretty much do your job, what do. Oh, okay. I'm so sorry. I know I dropped this. I am going to answer this question, but we will come back to more basic conversation. I'm having to also think them up too. Um, so any signs to be wary of when using both hands versus one. So That is actually always an interesting thing, is when you are limited one hand. Okay. So there's a lot that you can still sign and talk one-handed. I've had to carry books before and talk to someone. It is a bit of a challenge. And typically what I do is I will sign if it does not really need two hands. So if you remember, maybe not, when we talked about the sign for good morning, okay? There is a shortened version where you can go just good morning, one hand, good morning. Very simple, very easy. Good morning. It's literally just make that motion, but you don't have this hand sitting here. It's just good morning. Okay. And so that one's one of those where, like, if you have something in your backpack, good morning, one hand sort of deal does work out. It's the few, let's see, I'm trying to think of, because like help, you can like help, kind of like if you do like one hand, but you make like that face of like, oh, I need help. That sort of deal typically can help get that through. Um, hmm. I'm trying to think. Sorry, I'm trying to think of because like I know there are phrases where it just does not work, but I'm trying to think of phrases with it. Um, there's a good bit that really you can sign one-handed. That still gets your point across. If there was ever a sign that you came across and you're like, I need to sign this and I can't because I have one hand, and you're like, that it would get confusing. Like it's not clear because it's that one hand. You can always finger spell the word. So I've had to do that before. I'm trying to think of what word I did. Oh, because I'll just never, because my biggest memory on that specific topic was when I had all my textbooks for my internship, and I walked by someone and I was saying good morning, and I stressed because I was like, I have to do good morning. I have to do good morning. And so I'm literally with the books going, good morning, like the most awkward way possible. And I mean, I'm telling you guys, it's my first day of internship too, might I add, okay? So I'm trying to make a good impression, and I have these books, and I'm like with my backpack, and I'm like, oh, good morning. It was so awkward. And the person I was saying it to looked at me and goes, good morning, and walked by, and I went, good morning. Oh, okay. I was so offended because I thought I had to be good morning all the time. No, good morning. Let's see. Oh, that's a good one. Okay. So I know I keep dropping. I'm trying to think of first. Most of the time when you sign with one hand, it's okay. There's just a few things, and I feel like you would come across there either signs you wouldn't already know and you'd finger spell, or very complex that you would have that experience. Most of the time, one hand is okay. Um, yes, that's what I would say. But just be like keeping your mind on like what you're trying to say, and if it gets confusing, like let's see, like confused. I'd probably be more like for confused. I found one finally. Confused, I probably would finger spell confused. Like I maybe would do this and then I'd finger spell confused. Just because this does show like that dizzy look kind of deal versus this is just like looks like I'm waving at someone. It can be a little confusing in itself. Okay. Excuse me. So what do you do for fun? What do you like to do? You can do you sometimes a lot of times if you just go what do you do? You what do? You what do? Sometimes when you're starting a conversation with someone, they can usually catch on that you're talking about what do you like to do? Or what do you do for fun? You can't always go fun, fun, you what do? What do you do? Fun, what do? That sort of thing, where you add fun, what do you do for fun? Kind of deal. Um, and that usually will help kind of catch on like what do you like? You like what do? Like what do? Sort of thing. You just add on those words. Okay. So I don't think we have done actually some of the holidays. I think because normally we do it when it is like near a holiday, and I don't think we did. So we'll do a few holiday ones because those are fun. Um, so I always like to start kind of more in the fall seasons and go backwards. Not backwards, go that way because I follow a school year. Shocker. Okay. So the first big holiday we're going to do is the sign for Halloween. There are a few different signs for Halloween, but one of the most common ones I see is you have like wide C's basically, and your thumbs aren't even really there. And you go Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. Halloween. And it's almost like you put the mask on, you take it off. Put the mask on, take it off. Halloween. Okay? I have seen some where they have the two H's and go Halloween. And again, that's more that English versus the ASL. Um, but I do actually see this one way more common than I do the H's for sure. Okay. Then we have Thanksgiving. Okay. Thanksgiving has two different signs, and I've slowly been starting this one a bit more, but this is the one I try to keep on because this is the one I know the most. So the one I know most of Thanksgiving is you basically are signing the sign for thank you, but with both your hands, you're going Thanksgiving, Thanksgiving, Thanksgiving. So have we done thank you? I don't think we've done please, sorry, or thank you. We'll go to those. Thank you is one hand. Thank you. Thank you. Thank
We
you.
are the most uncouth people.
We really are. And I'm over here talking about how you can say someone's rude and we're no better. Right now, we're not even teaching you how to be polite. Whoops. Um, well, yeah, so thank you is one hand. You can also go thank you with two hands. Two hands here is almost showing more, like I use that as more of like the intense, like thank you again versus like thanks, thank you, thank you. So that's why Thanksgiving is Thanksgiving, Thanksgiving, because it's many thanks. Thanksgiving, Thanksgiving. Okay. The other one is Thanksgiving, Thanksgiving. Yeah. And it's like turkey, and then you like pinch it to your chin. Thanksgiving, Thanksgiving. It's an interesting one. It's like turkey, bring it to your chest. Thanksgiving. It's one I see a little bit more often, and I've caught myself doing it. And I'm like, no, Thanksgiving, Thanksgiving. It's very important for me that way. My birthday's around that time, so I think that's why I'm like, no, we all together. Um, and then we have Christmas. So the sign for Christmas is you're gonna have your non-dominant across. Your dominant is gonna be in a C kind of down here, and you go Christmas, Christmas. Christmas. Okay? Christmas. And when you're trying to say Happy Halloween, Happy Thanksgiving, Merry Christmas, any of those sort of things, you would just add the sign for happy. Okay? So Happy Halloween, Happy Thanksgiving. And then I know it sounds crazy, okay, is Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Yeah, that one always makes me laugh because I end up always saying Happy Christmas, and people are like, what? And I'm like, okay, if you did it in ASL, it makes sense. All right, it's Merry Christmas, but it's Happy Christmas in ASL. Um, let's see. The sign for Hanukkah. There is a sign for Hanukkah, and it's gonna have the four, and you go Hanukkah, Hanukkah. So Happy Hanukkah. And it's for the four candles, Hanukkah. Um, and then for New Year, all right. So the sign for new. So New Year is literally just going to be new, and then the sign for year. Okay. So the sign for new is you're going to have your both your goodness me hands. I kept wanting to say dominant, non-dominant. I was like, you only have one of each, and you're going to go new, new. So your dominant hand is going to brush up, new, new. Okay. So new year, new year. All right, so new year. So you would just do Happy New Year. Okay? All right. For Valentine's Day is just going to be the sign for heart, basically. And so what you do is you have your two middle fingers. You're going to start in the corner and you're going to make the shape of a heart. Valentine's Day, Valentine's. So Valentine's Day. Then we have St. Patrick's Day. St. Patrick's Day is you just pretend to pinch your arm for St. Patrick's Day, which I always think is fun. St. Patrick's Day. Then we have Easter. Yes, I had to think. I always add spring break because we get spring break off. And I'm like, I know that's not a holiday, but that is actually a holiday for me. Okay. Like it's the great thing about being a teacher. But so Easter is you're gonna have two E's and you go Easter, 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 Easter. Okay. Then I think, all right, I'm gonna add these here just because it's easy to do, and I figure you would understand what it is anyways. It's Mother's Day and Father's Day. You would just do Mother's Day, Mother's Day, Mother's Day, Mom Day versus, and then Father's Day. Father's Day. You can wiggle your fingers like for father, like mother, father sometimes. That works. I do that when I'm talking about Mother's Day. I'll be like Mother's Day. And I think it's because I use that as being like there's multiple moms. You're talking about everyone's mom kind of deal. And then we have yes, yes. So sorry, I dropped what I was saying, but yes, um, there's been a lot more accessibility kind of starting to pop up in different uh websites, streaming services. Goodness, cannot talk. And it's awesome to see. And there's even on, I don't know if any of y'all have HBO Max, but they've been starting providing interpretations on movies. Like for the Barbie movie, they have it'll show the sign of this. It shows this sign. This is the sign. Well, it looks weird when I do it this way, but this is basically because it's doing the sign for interpreting, interpret. So it'll have like this symbol, and that's for interpreting. So it'll have a interpreter in the corner who is signing the movie and the parts. I think they also did it for the Minecraft movie. I know it's done it for some other like more like mature like scary movies and stuff like not scary movies, other movies. It kind of they're starting to add more and more and more, and it's awesome to see. When the Barbie movie came out with its first, like that was the first one that had the interpreting everybody at work, we intentionally left the movies running. Like we watched it. I watched it with the interpretation, but then afterwards I put it right back on because I was like, we're gonna get a lot of views, so we can show that this is a big deal. This is great. We're not gonna stop it. So it literally, I knew someone who kept it nonstop going, just had it play over and over and over for like 24 hours straight because she's like, mm-mm, we're gonna show that this is great and we're gonna get a lot of views, so that way you will continue to do this. So it's awesome to see that. And I definitely love to hear when there's more accessibility coming out. I know Disney seems to be doing something where it's like they've made like the music videos of like songs that have like the characters now signing. I think that is cool that we're getting into just thinking about it. It's not going to be perfect every time, but at least we're getting in that steps of thinking about it. I think it's awesome. Um, I did want to add right here before we finish with most of all is 4th of July. Because I knew that was like the last big holiday I could think of that we didn't say. And so 4th of July is literally you just do July 4th. You just finger spell July and 4th. It does not have its whole fancy schmanciness. It's just July 4th. What do? So July 4th, you what do? Sort of thing. Okay? Any final questions? Anything? I'm making sure while I take my final sip of my water because it's about to be out myself. Well, okay, perfect. It's not like I'm like, I need people to ask questions. It's more like I just want to give enough time so someone can ask a question if they want to, or they can say something. Because I don't ever want to be like, oh, here's open for space, and then, okay, never mind. Like done after 30 seconds of waiting. I'm not patient myself all the time either. So. But I was gonna say while we're waiting, what I'll do is you guys are more than welcome to always join back in a later class if you ever want to and just kind of review. Um, just as like a nice little, checkup, kind of review on seeing what you need and also like a refresher. And we typically will kind of modify science classes, like we did with this one where we kind of changed it up. Typically in the fall, usually when it's around the October class. I always love this one, love that one, because we get to do Halloween signs and we designate an entire class to Halloween. Okay, it's like one of my favorite things. I'm a big Halloween girly. Okay, it's like one of my favorite holidays. So it's a very big deal that we must have a Halloween like class. And so that one's always a fun one. And I know you can always go back and also look at the ASL videos from like those October times. But if you're a big Halloween person, I definitely recommend checking them out because it's fun. Um, And yeah, and if you ever still think about any questions that you're like, hey, I'm just curious how this would go, you're more than welcome to email Miss Katie, and then you can join our next class and I can, mention, bring it up, talk about it. Or if there's some way it's like it's not going to be able to work that way, I can always give her an answer back, sort of deal. But yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed. I hope y'all have enjoyed learning about ASL, but also deaf culture, and just kind of had a fun experience. I personally just love ASL so much, and I think it's great. And I love to see people interested in seeing it too. So, yeah. Miss Katie, do you have anything else to add?
I don't have anything else, but I will send out the link tomorrow. And I think in the last class we had someone ask a similar question about resources. So I have some online resources I can send you that I'll include in our wrap-up email. So that's all I've got.
Perfect. Well, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of y'all's week. And maybe in the future, I'll see you guys all again. All right. Bye, you guys.
Bye, everybody.